Okay, here come our people. I am sorry, you guys, that we had a little bit of technical difficulties. That is what's going on right now for those of us who are learning all the ins and outs of doing Zoom. And I'm so happy that you are here with me today. And let's get you all in here. Yes, people are already chatting. I love that. Thank you. That's so great. And okay, I can see all these people coming on. Okay, this is great. So we'll give you a little bit of a chance to come on. I think we probably lost a few of you. Sorry with getting started just a little late, but that's kind of par for the course with how things are right now. So I'm happy that you're here. I'm Deborah Stengel, founder of Sedona Soul Adventures, and here with you again for another one of our master classes. And I'm so excited about the one that we're going to have today. I know it's going to be fantastic. Jim Barinholtz is just so amazing, and he's going to be talking to you about how to create sacred space. So how are you guys feeling? I mean, everything that's going on right now, and some people are opening up a little bit, some people aren't opening up at all. We're, this back and forth, and what are things going to look like? And now more than ever, having your space at home is just so important, and that energy is so critically important. So this is going to be an absolutely fantastic, wonderful masterclass today. And I'm just so happy that you're here with us. Now, before we start, I just want to make sure, because I know a lot of you know who we are. And I loved it last week, what was happening. So many people that were on were grads of Sedona Soul Adventures, meaning they've done a retreat with us. And people were just chatting up a storm and saying things like, oh, I loved my soul adventure so much. It changed my life. And I was able to go back because Zoom records these and actually does a transcript. It's so cool. So start doing that again, you guys. I love that. I just loved watching those as they were coming through last week. And so for those of you who don't know who we are in Sedona, Arizona, and we do custom designed spiritual retreats for individuals and couples. And I am so excited right now because our governor announced on April 30th that businesses are going to start opening up a little bit. We are on stay at home until May 15th, but I really believe that after May 15th, we are going to be able to open again here in Sedona. And what's wonderful is because of the work that we do, everything that we do are private retreats, meaning you are working one-on-one or two-on-one for couples with the master practitioners of Sedona. We have over 50 of the master practitioners here. So we never do anything in groups because we know that the true healing comes when you are working with a master who is able to take you where you are to where you want to be. And so we are perfectly set up. I hope that on May 16th that we will be open. Now we don't know, and we'll be keeping you posted on exactly what's happening, but I know that a lot of people are calling us already and saying, I want to come to Sedona. And then we have a lot of people who are doing our virtual retreats. And I'm just so happy that the virtual retreats have been so fantastic and so amazing. But enough about that. Let's jump in here. And I want to introduce our amazing practitioner today, Jim Barinholtz. Jim is just an absolutely incredible person. Jim, for me, is someone who he knows more about other cultures, indigenous cultures, ancient cultures, and all of their ceremonies and their histories. I mean, he's just such an absolutely incredible person. And I just feel like he is somebody who knows everything there is to know about this stuff. He has written an incredible book called Journey to the Four Directions. And Jim, I am just going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Deborah. And thanks everybody for your patience as we worked out these technical glitches so we could all be together this morning. So it's a beautiful day here in Sedona, and I feel very blessed to be able to open my home and share this space with you, which for me is a sacred space. And that's really what this particular class is about today. How can we make our home not just the place where we live, where we sleep, where we eat, but a sacred space? Like, you know, in all these indigenous and ancient cultures around the world, people had space for ceremony, for prayer, for meditation, for working on developing themselves in a spiritual and intellectual and creative way. And often we, in our Western society, we look at everything from a very materialistic viewpoint, but there is a way to see our homes as a spiritual abode, as a sacred abode, as our own personal temple. And I'm kind of getting used to where I'm supposed to look here as I'm talking to you, because I can't see you. I'm used to live human beings, but we're adapting, right? We're adapting. And part of our adapting right now is that we have been either willingly or unwillingly made to stay at home a lot more than we normally would. So how do we adapt and make good use of this time? You know, we all have things in our home that are unattended to. Maybe it's a lot of junk that's stored in the back room, or a closet that's full of clutter, or we just haven't cleaned our living spaces for a while. Well, that's part of making it sacred space, is to remove all the excess, remove what we don't need, make space for the new to come in. We can't have new things in our lives if we don't make space for that. And so that means attending to what's past, what's no longer needed, and being able to move forward. So I want to help you to maybe see your home in a different way, and to see how you can create more of a sacred space. I know for the people that are tuned in right now, probably a high percentage of you, maybe most of you, already create sacred space in your home. Maybe you have a certain altar in a room or a corner. This is going to be about how the entire living space is an altar. You know, like your bedroom, for example, where you sleep, that is your altar for that 6 or 8 hours, whatever it is, however long you sleep. You were actually sleeping, living in your altar space, your sacred space. So everything that's around you, everything in the design of that space needs to facilitate your journey into the dream time, and how you can come out in the morning from that journey refreshed and renewed and energized to greet the new day. So this is really about sacred space in your entire home. And I'll be sharing with you some basic principles and some more detailed things about how we can do that. A lot of what makes space sacred is our alignment, our sense of balance and symmetry. Because if we look at our bodies, we're familiar with the idea that our own body is a temple. And, you know, we've heard you are what you eat, and everything that we do with our bodies is part of creating that sacred abode in this vessel we've been given for this particular journey in life. So let's look at our bodies. We have 2 eyes, we have 2 hands, we have 2 feet, 2 legs. So there's a symmetry here. And, you know, our nose, our spine, there are these other things that are in the center of our body, that the symmetry is balanced around. So in the same way, when you create an altar in your home, you want to look at how can there be symmetry? How can there be balance so that the right side and the left side work together? And when you sit and meditate and pray in those spaces, you are aligning yourself with all these reminders of your own body, of your own being, how to create that sacred harmony and proportion. If you look at this art that is behind me, which I created with photography and painting together, you can see the two sacred birds above, and the pyramid itself comes to a point at the top, which is the center. And so all of this is based on this idea of symmetry. And as we walk around my home, I will show you these altar spaces that do the same sort of thing. So numbers are very important. In many cultures, people honor the ancestors in their home. They may have a special altar or place where they want to honor their parents and all the ancestors who've come before. We find this a lot in African cultures and Polynesian cultures, in Chinese culture, many cultures around the world. Honoring the ancestors is so important. So in doing that, we have the masculine and the feminine, the mother and the father. In the altars I have in my home, I represent that very often. For me, that's embodied through the Egyptian archetypes of Isis and Osiris. But for you, it may be different. Or maybe you have photographs of your actual parents and grandparents that you put out. That's part of your altar, right? So we're going to look at that. We also have to think about, who do we live with? Do we live alone? In that case, we can make our space however we want it to be. But many of us live with a partner, or with children, or with a whole family, an extended family, with roommates. And so when we think about creating sacred space in our home, we also have to consider all the people that we live with. Everybody has a say. Everybody wants to be able to have a place in their home, even if they don't think of it as sacred space, a place that's theirs, that's special. Maybe it's their room, maybe it's a section in the refrigerator where they keep their food. Whatever it is, we have to find a way to honor each other's space, to have healthy boundaries, and to respect the space that we create for each other in our home. So obviously, for those of you that are sheltering in place, or that are staying at home a lot now with other family members or roommates or partners, this is a huge, huge issue. And we must find a way to integrate these sacred spaces with each other. So this requires a little more creativity. Yeah. Okay. All right. And, you know, most of us do not live in a mansion with 30 or 40 rooms. I know if I had one, I could have a special room just for my music, a special room just for healing, a special room just for meditation. Most of us don't have that luxury. So we also have to think about multi-purpose for different rooms, for different spaces. For example, my office space here is also the room where I keep my piano and I do my composing. So sometimes we have to be very careful about how we combine purposes in the same room. For example, I've seen often people will take an area in their bedroom to put a little home office, you know, where they can sit with their computer and all their paperwork and their bills. Well, if you live in a studio space, you kind of have to do that. But if you can possibly have a separate area for your office work from where you sleep, this would be a good thing. Because when you go to sleep, you don't want to be thinking about all the work you have to do the next day or that you didn't finish the day before. And so it's very important how we design these multi-purpose uses of our spaces. Okay, so I'm going to start to move around the house here. And as we discuss the different areas that I show you, I'll be illustrating different principles. Deborah, I just want to ask you, are we going to do the full hour or are we going to end at 10? Just so I know.
No, we will do the full hour, Jim.
Okay, all right, very good.
And you know, there was something that I wanted to say as I was introducing you, and you can start walking around a little bit if you want to while I talk, but I have a huge connection with Jim because of Egypt. And Jim has a huge connection with Egypt. And the very first time I walked into his house, it was just like, oh, wow. It was almost like being in an Egyptian temple for me. And so that's one of the big connections that I have with Jim, which is just so great.
Thank you, Deborah. Yes, we have that connection for sure, for sure. So I'm going to show you here one of my favorite altars in the home, which is to Isis and Osiris. So this is the archetype of the mother and the father, the male and the female, and also, you know, has to do with the ancestors. So you can see here I have these pyramids, and then I have statues here. This is of Osiris, and over here of Isis. And then in the center, I have another statue of Osiris with Isis behind him. You know, Isis resurrected Osiris after he was killed. She brought him back to life. And so her spread wings there are representing that power to return him to life. And this is all symbolic of how we as humans support each other. When we feel down, when we feel depressed, we help to restore each other. This can be between the teacher and the student. It can be between two lovers. It can be between parents and children, but we're all here to take care of each other. So all of this is embodied in this altar. And if you look up here, you'll see a painting that I did, which is of Isis restoring Osiris to life. But in this case, Osiris is represented by the moon and also by the constellation of Orion, which you see beside the moon. Okay, so one of the things about, whoops, that just got big. I'm not sure what I did.
I did that, Jim, to make it do the full screen. So that's good, yes?
Okay, all right, great.
Is that good for you?
Sure.
Okay, great.
So if what I'm seeing is what the people out there are seeing as well?
Yes, we're seeing the beautiful painting of Isis with the moon.
Right, okay, beautiful. Yes. So you can see how things in the painting relate to things in the altar, like those pyramids. Or there's this image of Isis, right, with her wings spread, and there she is in the painting. And if I move over here to my fireplace, there's Isis again with her wings spread. And if I look up here, she's got her wings around Osiris, and there is Isis in that same position, yeah? Or if we look here, there's Isis with the moon. And over here, I have, by the way, this is my living room, but I use it in a different way. This is something I had in my room as a child, as a teenager, where I grew up, and it's an image of Isis with the full moon. So my point is that things relate to each other in a living space and design in a way that makes it all flow together. Here we see these three masks, which also represent teachers and ancestors for me. And we see those same figures here in the painting, okay? So I know not everybody might think of themselves as an artist, but how you design your living space can be done in an artistic and creative way. So another important thing about altars and design is how we integrate 2 and 3 dimensions. Okay, so paintings, art on a wall is 2-dimensional, right? So, you know, I have a lot of 2-dimensional art here that I've done. But then I also bring in the 3rd dimension, having masks, having plants, having sacred objects on a table, so that all of these things work together. The balance of 2 and 3 dimensions makes your design so much more interesting. So while you're all at home with a lot of time to be at home, look around your space, see how you might make it move and become alive more by bringing in this integration of the 2 and 3 dimensions. Now, here, you know, sometimes people say the mantle of the fireplace is like the hearth. It's the center of the home. So I have this ancient Dogon wooden sculpture from West Africa of the male and female archetype, similar to Isis and Osiris. And this is at the center. For me, this is like my parents, it's the ancestors, the male, female lineage. They're here protecting my living space. And also, for me, it's important because these cultures, ancient Egypt, the Dogon, the Oromo culture from East Africa that I work with, they all connect with the star Sirius. And you can see here I have the Sphinx. There's a tiny little stone there that for me is connected with that star. And this is all aligned to the east, to the sunrise. I have these images of the star connecting to the consciousness of Isis, or over here to the consciousness of this person who's been mummified. And this is all facing out my window to the east, where the moon and the sun and the stars rise, so that I'm creating in my living space here, in this space, it's a stargate. It is a room in which I can bring in the energy and consciousness of that star. Okay, might be a little esoteric for some of you, but for others, I think you can relate. Now, I'm gonna move out here. This is the entryway to my house. I want you to all think a lot about the importance of what happens as soon as somebody walks into your home, whether it's you or somebody else that lives with you, or it's a guest or a group of people coming in. What is the first thing they see? In the case of when people come in my house, the first thing they're going to see is this area right here, okay? And there's a certain dynamic of black and white that you see going on, yeah? That's reflected back in the living room. I have a lot of zebra patterns. I'm crazy for zebras. I love the black and the white together. Why is that? Because our world is composed of opposites that work together to create harmony and balance. And so we have black and white, we have day and night, we have male and female. I don't look at the world as good and bad. It's not a Hollywood movie, the good guys and the bad guys. We're all composed of these opposites, of these polarities. We have our shadow side, we have our light side, our primal side, and our angelic side. And so when somebody comes in my space, I want to instantly create this feeling of harmony and proportion. And partly that's represented with the black and white. Partly, as you can see, it's the design. Things are balancing each other. This altar here is connected with the Hopi culture. The Hopis are one of the original people of Sedona, which they call Palat Kwapi, the place of the red rocks. And so I want to honor the original people who lived in this area. As soon as I come home, because I'm giving thanks that I can live here, that their ancestral land is someplace where I am being blessed to share this experience of this sacred land. And this whole altar here has to do with a prayer for water, for rain. We're living in the desert. We need that rain to have life, to make the crops grow. So there are different things here for corn, which is an important crop for the Hopi people that represents everything we eat. This is a man from the Snake clan. The snake dance is done to bring the rain in the summer in August, the special snake dance ceremony. And so all of this area here is a prayer for rain, which is also abundance and a welcoming abundance into my home as soon as I come in that space. Okay, now I'm going to move over to the kitchen. So, you know, ethnically, my own background comes from Europe and the Middle East. So in the kitchen, I have altars that reflect that. This is to Cernunnos. Cernunnos is sort of the original shaman figure in ancient Europe. He has deer antlers and he holds a big snake. I used to dance with snakes, so I relate to Cernunnos. So this whole altar I've created here has the snake symbols wrapped around these deer antlers. These are images here of the Green Man, one of the important ancient cultural symbols of Europe that has to do with celebrating trees and all of life. Sometimes in our living space, we have unusual areas, and how do we make use of that? So I have this kind of odd shaped corner here, and I found two things that friends had given to me that fit it perfectly. The colors match the colors that are already here in the cabinetry and the wall, and you can see how the angle of this angel matched perfectly the line that was already there in the design of this kitchen. Okay, now we're going to go to something really mundane, the refrigerator. Okay, how do we organize our refrigerator? Well, I cleaned out the refrigerator yesterday because I thought, oh my God, I'm going to show this to all these people. It better look good, right? So, you know, I like having an order to my refrigerator, not stuff everything in. So the drinks all go on top. You know, in the middle here are things for lunch and dinner. And I have like nuts and things over there, my breakfast stuff at the bottom. I keep all my green vegetables on the left and my root vegetables on the right. So it's very organized. But I think a lot of us know we have stuff in our refrigerator that probably needs to be thrown out. So this sauerkraut here, I've had this for so many months. What was I thinking? Months ago, I knew this was almost used up. I smelled it. It smelled, you know, it's already gone bad. And yet I held on to it. What's wrong with me? Why did I think that? Because if it's already gone bad, it's not going to get better. Okay. We might say that about a relationship or something else. You know, in this case, maybe you could fix the relationship, but the sauerkraut is finished. So I'm putting this in here and I'll take care of it after our little sharing today, but it needs to be thrown away. And then I can reuse that jar for keeping grains or something really cool like that. So just to say that sacred space means throwing away what you do not need. Now, I'm going to be inviting someone to help me come into their home in a little bit. And if you have a laptop or iPad or even your phone, we can do that together and I can help you with your space. But right now I'm showing you something unusual. This is a closet. So I have in my house, I like to honor different cultures and different regions of the planet. And I didn't have enough rooms to honor all the cultures of Asia. But I have a lot of closet space. So I thought, okay, I'm going to keep my books and my altar objects and things like that that relate to cultures of Asia, my music recordings in here. So that's how I decided to use this closet. My point is, you do not need to use every room in the conventional way. Customize it for yourself. Make it be the way that you want to use those spaces. So like I use my living room as a healing room, as a room for people to gather and do sessions. Okay, so this is my art room. And here I have, again, altars where you can see how symmetry and balance is very important. I've created different art objects that go with 2 and 3 dimensions together. This altar here is very busy, okay? I'm gonna back up to give you a better view. All of the things in this altar relate to the cultures of South America. And I have it in my art room because right now I'm working on a series of paintings about the cultures of South America. So I want to be inspired as much as I can by what's around me as I paint. Now, this is very busy. I have a lot of stuff. My style is not Zen. For some people, just one thing against a white wall is perfect. And that's great. We need Zen people. Obviously, I'm not very Zen. Okay, but for some of you, you want to be. If you have lots of stuff like I do, what will help is to organize all your things so that they're not just thrown together, but there's order, there's design, there's symmetry. So if you look carefully, you will see that I have 2 of everything, and each thing is balancing what's on the other side, right? Okay, this helps me to feel centered and balanced. And this altar, all the altars in my house are working 24/7, 24 hours a day. It's not just when I sit and pray and meditate, when I light the candles, when I chant and sing in front of the altar. This is working to create an energy of harmony in my home all the time, and by extension, to create an energy of harmony for the whole planet. That's my prayer. That is the intention I put out with everything in my home. Okay. So now we're going to go to one of the more mundane spaces like the refrigerator. This is the hall closet. There's my fox friend from Oaxaca. I love that guy. Okay, so this is my hall closet. It's pretty good, I think. You know, it's not overly stuffed. There are probably some articles of clothing in here that I don't really need. I know some of the things in here I have not worn for years. So maybe I want to remove those items and put them in a special place. It's not taking up room in the closet, you know, and say to be reconsidered. Maybe I want to give some of them away. Maybe I want to sell some of them and use that money for something else I need. Okay, but at least I feel like I have some order here. So that is okay. Now I'm going to give you an example of a closet that's not so great. Okay, so we're going in my office. Okay, here's my office space. So now, all right, this is a perfect example of how to use your stay-at-home time while, you know, so much is shut down and we're supposed to stay at home. How can you make use of that time? I'm going to tell you, I know that in the bottom of this pile on the right are some music scores, some orchestral scores of things I wrote. But on top of that, there's mail, there's unanswered things, there's notes I've jotted. I don't know what's where. It's in disorder. So, you know, I kind of know what I have in these boxes, more or less. But look at this. There's stuff that's just thrown under the cabinet. and I don't know what it is. And there's stuff in here. It's kind of in order a little bit, but then, wow, this is bad. Okay, I really need to go through these piles. There's a lot of stuff here I could throw out that I don't need, that's redundant. And I will feel so much better in my being once I take care of this, because the confusion that we may have in our heads, in our emotional body, often relates to what we're surrounded with. So come back to harmony, come back to symmetry and balance. Yeah, this is a special altar I have to the buffalo. Why? Because the buffalo is a really, really important animal for me. And from childhood, I created an opera called Buffalo Nation. So I keep this buffalo altar near my piano where I compose, because this reminds me of my childhood and something very beautiful. We want our living space to reflect back to us positive things that make us feel good about who we are. Up here, I have a map of the world that shows where I've done ceremony with all these little pins that are white and dark blue. And then I have artwork I created here, also of North and South America. And I love maps. I'm fascinated by the design of the world. I even have a globe up here, okay? And I like having things in my space that I can hang that give a different sense of dimensionality. So my point is, put things in your living space that reflect back to you positive memories, that reflect back to you a sense of the joy of your life journey, and that can inspire you to continue that life journey in a positive way. All right. You can see over here, this is a painting I did about the return of White Buffalo Woman. You see the buffalo skull in the center, and then I have the buffalo skull on my altar. So all of these things are working together. They are interrelating to each other. I want to also mention, so I have sacred herbs here. I have sage, I have sweetgrass. One way to work with your altar is when you burn the sacred herbs, or when you light a candle, or when you chant or pray. This activates the altar. This makes the energy go out into the universe in a bigger way. Okay. Just a quick little view of my bedroom. I want to talk about the ancestors. So I like sleeping in a space where all of the energy of the ancestors is around me, okay? And you can see that in this room, I have a lot of art from Polynesia, from the South Pacific, from Australia, New Guinea. And this gives me a feeling when I go to sleep that for me is actually comforting. I think for some people, it might be kind of too much of a freak out, but I love being surrounded by all those masks and objects. It makes me feel comforted. So I'm going to try to switch the camera here again. Give me just a minute. Okay. Okay. Very good. So we're back in the living room now where we started. I want to talk a little more about the bedroom. So, some people, they like to have their bedroom have very calm and almost angelic kinds of colors and moods. For other people, maybe they want that bedroom to have more of a primal feel. And so, these are things you have to think about. What makes you feel good? What colors are the colors that are empowering to you and comforting to you that you want to sleep with? Okay. So, and again, if you live with other people, you have to find a way to merge all this and create space for each other in your home. Okay, so Deborah, I want to invite someone to take us into their home, and so we can work with them. Again, someone who has a phone or laptop, so you can move around the house with it, so we can see your different areas. And so please, if there's anyone that would like to participate that way,
go ahead and raise your hand if you would like to have Jim work with you. And what we will do at that point is call on someone and help them. So are you all seeing where you need to do that? Because I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand, which is really surprising me. We have a few hundred people on the phone. Oh, somebody just wrote. Let's see.
Pam.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how I can, and people are saying they're raising their hand, and I'm not sure why I'm not seeing that. Let's,
Yeah, we have a few people raising their hands.
I know,
Pam,
they're telling us that they
Chris.
are. You have to reverse your camera. Oh gosh. Somebody's just telling me that. Let's see. Well, so it must be a setting that I'm not doing properly. So I'm not figuring it out. And
says go to video settings.
click on attendees. Let's see. Oh, here. Okay. So, all right. So Chris. All right, Chris Mushang. All right. So do you have your camera on and your, all right, Chris, you're there.
There he is.
Hi. Are you there, Chris? Hi.
Hello.
Yay, we were able to do this. Okay. Okay, so go for it.
Okay, we're in my meditation room, actually. This is my old bedroom. And I have the luxury of having a room just for meditating every morning and in the evening. And so it's pretty Spartan, as you can see in the back corner here. I just have a chair. I have a little place to sit, when I want some quiet time. I have a yoga mat. This is where I do my sun salutations every morning when the sun is out. So here's my altar, just really a place for incense and a couple things. I have a table where I wrote some things down and the ink dried out, and I like to pretend that my message has been out there. And what I like about this space is the kind of the symmetry between the windows. So when I look where those windows join, I kind of almost feel like vibrating. I can see like vibrations, and it feels like a nice space too. And that faces out to the east right there, so I get to see the sun in the morning.
Beautiful.
And that's basically it. I still have my clothes in the closet back there, my dresser with some clothes and some stuff on top of my dresser. So that's basically like the space this is my space that I really enjoy every day, that I get to meditate with. What do you think?
I think, Chris, it looks like you have a very Zen aesthetic. So it's very simple. You don't have a lot of things, and that allows your mind to be more spacious and more open, and just allow what is going to come through in your meditation process to be there without anything suggesting it. Yeah. It's a very Zen approach. Now, it's a question of what you want. Is there anything that you feel you want to change about the space, or that you would like to feel differently for you while you're in there doing your meditation and prayer?
Yeah, I think I would like to have it feel more in tune with me. I don't like a lot of stuff, but I would like to have a few things that do mean something to me in here. And then when I come into the space, I like to feel positive. And I think I'm having a hard time finding things that associate with me. And I liked your idea of having an altar, having a little table with the symmetry of things, but I haven't traveled around the world and picked up things. So I kind of having a hard time finding a connection to things, I guess.
Right. Okay. So let's look in the corner where your windows are.
Okay.
And you have, it's almost like a stool. It's a very small table there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have some things on the windowsill.
Mm-hmm.
So what if you were to have a table or some kind of platform in that corner that gave you more space, and you could move the things off the windowsill that are important to you onto that table, and perhaps, you may have a candle there, or, anything that can focus and center your vision right into that corner. I think it might help to have a larger area where you can put things so that you can move stuff off the windowsill, and perhaps create a bit more of a symmetry with those few things you do have. So that would be one suggestion. And I'm feeling like it could be useful also to hang something from the ceiling in that corner that is above your little altar table, that I don't know if it would be a light or a crystal, or it just feels like something could be hanging there, suspended, that would also open up the energy, because it gives more dimensionality of vertical space. We tend to think very much with our spaces in a horizontal way, in a kind of flat way, but we live in three-dimensional space. So the vertical aspect of the space is very important. So give some thought to how you might include the up and down aspect as well. Something maybe that's hanging there that can lift your consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I'll get a table there, and then I feel like if I create the space, things will find their way to it if I just give it a table there, right?
Exactly. You might find, in fact, that people start giving you things that fit perfectly. So much of what I have in my home are things that were given to me or made by friends, art that they've done, things like that. And that makes it so much more special, because I feel the energy of those people and their love and appreciation in my space all the time, even if they're not physically here with me, And you don't have to go out traveling everywhere or shopping for things. You found objects, things that we find in nature. Looks like you live in an area where there's forest or woodlands. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so rocks or branches or things that are just found objects are often the perfect things for our altar, or to create a way of bringing a little bit of outside inside, so that our indoor and outdoor living space is more integrated. Yeah. But I don't want to tell you to do too much in there, because I think the spaciousness and openness of your environment there is exactly what you want, and what gives you that sense of peace.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. But it still feels like it lacks a little individuality, you know, and that's where but I still, you're right. I like the space. I don't want a lot of clutter. I don't want to, like you said, like the clutter just kind of like, makes my mind kind of busy, and I want to have a space where I can be peaceful and not,
Okay.
not
Let me ask you this.
thinking about things.
How do you feel about the color of the room?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. This was an old bedroom, and we painted it to be a bedroom, but yeah, I like your input on that. Like what kind of colors do you think would be good for a space for like a meditation room?
Well, I think I would go for a color that's a little bit lighter. Yeah, it looks like it's a kind of teal or sort of blue-green, pale blue-green in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go, whatever color you choose, I would go for a lighter shade. And then perhaps you may find a piece of fabric or a canvas, a painting that's just, in a sense, like modern art, where it's just a solid color, or, the simplest of forms, like a circle and a square, things like that are just more pure form and color, and just one or two things on the wall that hold that color energy for you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That if the wall itself is a lighter color, then you can play with that and see how color affects your mood. It doesn't have to be static either. You could hang something on the wall that you change out in a month to something else as your mood changes, as what it is that you want to bring in to your life is different. Reds, for example, tend to be very passionate. Blues are usually more calming and soothing. So, it depends what you want to bring in, but feel free to change things out. It doesn't have to stay static. It doesn't have to stay the same.
I like that. Thank you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Jim. And let's call on another person. Let's call on Yvonne. And Jim, I love the idea of what you were talking about. So Yvonne, I'm just clicking you. Oop, are you there? Oop, oosh. Let's see. I think I might have done some. Sorry, Yvonne. Okay, let's try Kim. Kim, let's try you and see if we get you on here. Oh, goodness. There she is. Oh, no, here's Yvonne. I guess I got them both on. Okay, Yvonne, do you have your, yes, there we go. And okay, great. So let's go with Kim. Good morning, Kim. Hi.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
So take it away, Jim.
Okay, Kim, what would you like to show us about your space?
All right. I am going to take my laptop and show you. You were talking about, I just came from Sedona, by the way. I went there for my birthday for March. I was going to come visit y'all, but everybody started panicking, so I jumped on a plane and came back. But I wanted to show you, this is as you walk in the front door.
Oh, Kim, I can't hear you now.
Kim, we're not hearing you. Are you away from your?
Okay,
There
I'm
we go.
here.
Now we can hear you. Yes.
All right. So this is it used to be my piano room, but we were going to move. So the piano's not here anymore, but this is my space.
So you need to stay next to your computer for us to hear. You need to stay close to the microphone.
Okay, well, I can't show it.
Okay, so just show it around and then we'll talk some more.
Okay. Can you see the space?
Can you lower the computer a little? Lower it a little. Other way. Down a little more. And now kind of move around. Okay. Are you getting an idea, Jim?
Yeah. Can you
Okay.
give us a more distance view, Kim, of the whole room? If you were to step back and point the computer so we can.
Let me try that. How's that?
Maybe, or stand by the front door and point the computer the other way.
Okay.
All right, let me go into my healing room. Maybe that will be better.
Oh, actually, we're getting
Oh,
an
now
idea
I can
now.
see
No,
it.
now we can see it, Kim.
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I see. Okay. Now we can see it. Okay, this is
We have
working.
very high ceilings there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20-foot high.
Wow.
So I created peace with pictures, Florida pictures is what I did.
Right. Beautiful.
And since I've been to Sedona 3 times, I have a large collection of kachinas. Well, let's see if I can get them. There's my kachina collection.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
see it?
Great. Beautiful.
And then I have a healing room that I've been working on since I have to stay home.
Yeah. This is the great time to work on it while we're staying home.
Yeah, so let's see if I can get. Everything seems to be backwards.
Hmm.
Okay, now we can see it.
Okay. This is
Okay. Yeah. See, there's a massage table. So, Kim, what is it that you would like to do to make this space work better for you? What are you feeling you want or need?
Well, I'm a Reiki healer. I haven't done it in years. I've been a registered nurse the last 20 years, but I want to go get back into natural healing. And that's why I went to Sedona to be reconfirmed. And so I'm trying to create a healing space for people to come here.
Okay. And right now, in this healing room, are you using it to store your personal things, or is it just totally dedicated for doing healing sessions?
Well, I want it to be just sessions. I have always used this space before for Airbnb or HomeAway. So after visiting Sedona, I've decided that I'm going to start advertising as healing sessions.
Okay.
And they have the suite to stay in.
So it's a multiple purpose. People could actually stay in this space as well. Kim?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. So you want this to be a room where people can stay as well as where you would do healing sessions with them.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So you're going to need a bed in this space then, obviously, if people stay there.
Yeah, it has a bed.
Okay. All right.
Can you see it? There it is.
Right. Wow, this is a huge room.
Yeah, it's 1,200 square foot, the bedroom and the bathroom.
I see. Okay. So you can have one area where you do the healing work and another part of it where people stay.
Well, the healing bench is right across from the bed.
Okay. Now I got it. Yeah. So this is part of the challenge for you, Kim, is that when you want to use a space for doing healing work, but it's also a space where people may be sleeping. And I'm guessing that sometimes you may do healing work on people who aren't necessarily staying there. Is that right?
Right, I'm going to start. I have not started yet. Well, we can't because we're all locked down. In Florida, we're real locked down.
Okay, all right, okay. So I would say if you had something like a shoji screen, or one of those screens that folds in 3 or 4 sections that you can use in that space when you're doing healing sessions with somebody who's not actually going to be staying there, just so that you have a delineation between the sleeping space and the area where you do the healing.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, that will help. And I would say that you may want to just create less things right around the area where you're going to set up for doing the healing work, so that it's kind of more open. Yeah, and this part of the room, that feels more open there, where you had just pointed the camera over to the right. I think it looks like there's some bay windows perhaps, or doors. Yeah, so I think what I'm seeing is just that it would be important for you to create a kind of cocoon for your healing space, so that the things surrounding where you place the temple create a sort of sheltered space for the person that you're working with, and that is distinct from the sleeping area. And this is part of what we have to do when we have multiple uses for the same room or the same space.
Right. So do you think I should move my healing more into the corner, like you said, a cocoon?
Yeah, I would create more of a cocooned, sort of nestled space there for your client. And the other thing, like here, that wall that's right behind you. Okay, so right now, the way that you have your framed pieces, I would look at how you can move things on the wall there to create more of a flow, because you have like a cluster of things all the way on the right of small paintings or photographs, and then you have a big open space on the wall. Then you, right behind you there, again, are some things clustered. So I would just look at how you've created it. Like there, it seems like you have a very good layout of those pieces on the wall. Yeah. But then there's a big open space, and then a lot of small things together. So you may want to play with how.
That's where I didn't know what to put. Yeah. I just started that space.
Okay, so here's my suggestion for you. Find something 3-dimensional to put in that space on the wall. In other words, like a mask, or it could be a weaving that's 3-dimensional in nature. So, or it might be something you suspend from the ceiling. But you have in your home a lot of 2-dimensional art. You have a lot of what look like paintings that are framed. I imagine there are some photographs I can't see too well, but you have a lot of pieces that are flat, that are 2-dimensional. So really the perfect thing for that area on the wall that's blank is something that's 3-dimensional. Even if you took your favorite kachina and you put a piece of wood on the wall that sticks out, that has one of those L kind of brace mounts, then you can put the kachina on top of that piece of wood. And it can be like a guardian for you for that healing energy.
That's a great idea.
Okay.
because I love my kachinas.
Yeah, well, obviously the kachinas are very important to you, and they also connect you with the energy of Sedona and this part of the world. So I would say, you know, find an L bracket that you can put a piece of wood on top of, and then put your kachina, because you already have one. So use what you have. Put one of those kachinas on top of that piece of wood there on the wall.
Sounds like a wonderful idea. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jim. That was absolutely terrific. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Jim, I want to thank you again. You're just so incredible. Your space is so amazing. A lot of people were chatting as you were moving around saying, oh my gosh, this entire place is a temple. And that is absolutely just so true. And also your energy is just so amazing. So thank you so much, Jim. That
Thank
was
you.
so wonderful. So everyone, I want to thank you again for joining us. I'm so happy that you were here with us today. And I want to invite you to come with us next week when we are going to have Barbara Joy as our practitioner. She is so amazing. She's going to be doing a session called From Survive to Thrive, Clearing Your Financial Blocks. And that is so important. I know so many of us have a lot of financial stuff that's going on right now. And for most of us, this is actually not something that's new. It's something that is deeply buried. It's something that's been in there a long time and is very, very deep. So I want you to come and be with us next week. Tell anybody that you know about this so that they can take advantage of these sessions. And I know that you're going to get huge, huge benefit from that. I want to remind you also about joining me every morning at 7 a.m. Pacific for our meditation with my practitioners to raise the vibration of the planet. And of course, if you are wanting to use this time to really reinvent yourself, please reach out to us, talk to an angel guide about doing a virtual retreat or a retreat in Sedona when things have opened back up again. Contact us at sedonasoladventures.com/angel to speak to one of our angel guides. You can set up a time to talk to them. There is no cost or obligation. I know that you're just going to feel better even talking to them, because I believe very strongly that this time is about us truly becoming that best version of ourselves. Sending you so much love from Sedona.